Have you ever said yes just to avoid disappointing someone? Even when every part of you wanted to scream, no? It's that tight feeling in your chest, the conflict between what you truly feel and what you think is expected of you. You nod, agree, stretch your schedule, swallow your discomfort, all for the sake of keeping the peace, maintaining the image, or avoiding the dreaded feeling of guilt. You put their needs ahead of your own, not because you're weak, but because you've been trained to believe that denying someone else means betraying them. And so, you sacrifice your time, your energy, your priorities. You take on tasks that drain you. You attend events that you dread. You accept responsibilities that don't belong to you. All because two letters, N and O, feel too heavy to lift. But here's what most people never pause to consider. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you abandon a part of yourself. You neglect your well-being, your mental space, your emotional clarity. You build a life shaped more by other people's preferences than your own purpose. And slowly, silently, the weight of unspoken boundaries starts to wear you down. Now ask yourself, how often do you put your peace on the back burner to avoid being judged? How many times have you bitten your tongue when deep down you knew a gentle no was the right response? What price have you paid for being agreeable? There's a deep fear many carry, the fear of being labeled selfish. But there's something far more dangerous than selfishness: self-neglect. Learning to say no isn't about creating distance from others. It's about creating alignment within yourself. It's a quiet revolution, a declaration that your needs matter too, that your presence in this world isn't defined by how useful you are to everyone else, but by how true you are to your own values. The truth is, boundaries are not walls. They're bridges that lead to mutual respect. And saying no doesn't shut doors. It opens space. Space for authenticity. Space for rest. Space for the things that actually matter to you. If you've ever felt torn between being kind to others and being kind to yourself, it's time to understand that you don't have to choose one or the other. You can be respectful and still say no. You can care deeply and still decline. You can be loving and still protect your time. Because your peace isn't something you owe to others. It's something you owe to yourself. And once you learn how to say no without guilt, you don't just regain control of your schedule. You reclaim your power, your purpose, and your inner calm. Number 1, understand why you feel guilty. Let's get real for a moment. Why does a simple no feel so heavy? Why does standing up for your own time and energy make you feel like you've done something wrong? The guilt that follows saying no isn't always about the situation at hand. Often, it's rooted in years of conditioning, where your worth felt tied to how agreeable, helpful, or accommodating you could be. You were taught to be the peacekeeper, the fixer, the reliable one. And so, any deviation from that role, any moment where you prioritize yourself, feels foreign, even wrong. But here's the thing. Guilt isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's a spotlight. It reveals the places where you've abandoned yourself in the name of approval. And it's in those moments of discomfort that growth begins. Ask yourself, who taught me that saying no equals being bad, selfish, or unkind? Am I afraid of their reaction, or am I afraid of my own discomfort in disappointing them? You're not here to be everything to everyone. You're here to be whole, to live aligned with your truth. And truth doesn't always come with applause, but it does come with peace. Saying no doesn't mean you've let someone down. It means you're finally showing up for yourself. And the more you do it, the less guilt has power over you. So next time that wave of guilt hits, pause, breathe, and ask, am I really doing something wrong? Or am I just doing what's right for me? Maybe for the first time. Number 2, redefine what no means. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that no means you're being rude, cold, or dismissive, that it's a rejection of someone else's needs. But what if that belief is the very thing sabotaging your well-being? Saying no isn't a weapon, it's a boundary. And boundaries are the blueprint for respect, both for others and yourself. Too often, we think we have to over-explain our limits. We soften them, dress them up in apologies, or cushion them with excuses to avoid confrontation. But here's the truth. A clear no is kinder than a dishonest yes. Because a dishonest yes leads to overcommitment, resentment, and burnout. Think of your no as a filter. Every time you say it, you filter out what doesn't align, so you can make room for what does. It's not a rejection, it's redirection. It says, this isn't right for me right now, and that's okay. Ask yourself, where in my life have I made myself small just to avoid the discomfort of saying no? What dreams, peace, or priorities could I reclaim if I said no more often? A yes should be sacred, not automatic. And a no should be respected, not feared. When you redefine what no means, you redefine your power. Number 3, use firm but kind language. One of the biggest myths around saying no is that you have to justify yourself. Give a reason, soften the blow, or make sure the other person isn't upset. But real strength lies in clarity. You don't have to be rude or defensive. You simply have to be honest and direct. Imagine this. Instead of panicking about what to say, you calmly respond with grace and certainty. You don't fumble over excuses. You don't overpromise. You don't say yes out of pressure and regret it later. You simply honor your boundaries with your words. Here are some empowering ways to say no. Thanks for thinking of me, but I won't be able to commit right now. I'm not the best person for this, but I hope you find the right support. That doesn't align with my priorities right now. These responses are kind, clear, and non-apologetic. They don't attack the other person. They don't explain your entire schedule. They communicate self-respect, and that's powerful. Ask yourself, why do I feel the need to over-explain or apologize when I say no? What would it feel like to trust my no as much as I trust my yes? You don't need permission to protect your peace. You just need practice. And with time, saying no won't feel like a battle. It will feel like a boundary. And boundaries aren't barriers to connection. They are the foundation of it. Number 4, practice the pause. You don't have to answer right away. In fact, one of the most powerful tools you have is time. In a world obsessed with urgency, taking a pause is an act of power. When someone asks something of you, whether it's a favor, a commitment, or even just your time, you might feel immediate pressure to respond with a yes. Why? Because silence feels awkward. Because we're conditioned to be agreeable. Because we mistake quick replies for kindness. But here's the truth. Decisions made in pressure are rarely aligned with purpose. Saying, "Let me check my calendar and get back to you," doesn't make you indecisive. It makes you intentional. That small pause buys you time to consider your priorities, energy levels, and whether the request aligns with your values or just your guilt. You deserve space to choose, not react. A thoughtful no is far more respectful than a rushed yes you later regret. Ask yourself, Am I making this decision out of pressure or purpose? Do I actually have the time, energy, and desire to say yes? Will this commitment serve me or just drain me? If the answer feels heavy, unclear, or guilt-driven, pause longer. Because the more you practice taking space before responding, the stronger and more grounded your decisions will become. Number 5, strengthen your boundaries. Boundaries are not barriers meant to push people away. They're structures that support your peace. They're how you communicate what's okay and what's not. Without them, people unintentionally walk all over your time, energy, and emotional space. When your boundaries are too loose, you may find yourself saying yes to things you resent, answering calls when you need rest, or giving your energy to people who only take. And the worst part? Over time, you begin to lose connection to your own needs. Strengthening your boundaries starts with clarity, knowing what you're available for and what you're not. It's not about being confrontational. It's about being consistent. It might feel hard at first. You may fear that people will pull away, but ask yourself this: why should protecting your peace come with shame? Why should you feel bad for making space for your own well-being? You can still be kind, you can still be generous, but you don't have to sacrifice your sanity to prove it. Ask yourself, where in my life are my boundaries leaking? What relationships or situations consistently drain me? What would respecting my own time actually look like? Because when you strengthen your boundaries, you strengthen your life. You show others and yourself that your time, energy, and well-being are worth protecting. Number 6, accept that not everyone will like it. This might be the hardest lesson of all. When you start saying no, not everyone will clap for you. Some will question it, some will take it personally, some might even distance themselves, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're becoming aligned. People who benefited from your constant availability may resist the shift. They may try to guilt trip you, manipulate you, or act confused. But their discomfort isn't your responsibility to manage. Their reaction doesn't mean your decision is invalid. You are not here to meet everyone's expectations. You're here to live in alignment with your values. Growth means choosing discomfort over disconnection from yourself. It means understanding that the cost of always being liked is often your own authenticity. Not everyone has to like your boundaries. Not everyone has to understand your no. But you still get to say it. And when someone truly respects you, they won't require your sacrifice as proof of love. They'll appreciate your clarity, even if it inconveniences them. Ask yourself, who am I still trying to please, and at what cost? Am I sacrificing my peace for someone else's comfort? If I say yes just to avoid being disliked, what part of me is being ignored? Saying no doesn't make you rude. It makes you real. And authenticity will always cost you something, but it will never cost you yourself. Number 7, celebrate every time you say no. Yes, celebrate it. Every time you say no with clarity and intention, you're not just rejecting an external demand. You're honoring an internal truth. You're affirming that your time, energy, and peace are not negotiable. Every no becomes a tiny revolution against the habits that once kept you small, overwhelmed, or overlooked. It's easy to downplay the significance of a boundary, but in a world that constantly demands more of you, saying no is bold, it's rare, it's powerful. That one word can preserve your energy, protect your peace, and keep your priorities intact. It's not just about what you said no to, it's about what you said yes for. your health, your clarity, your focus, your future. So don't just move on from that moment. Mark it. Celebrate it. Reflect on how far you've come from being someone who would have automatically said yes. Give yourself credit for doing something that once felt uncomfortable, but now feels empowering. This isn't about becoming cold or distant. It's about becoming aligned. A conscious no is self-leadership in action. And every time you use it, you strengthen a muscle that builds resilience, confidence, and authenticity. Ask yourself, what did I protect today by saying no? How did I feel afterward? Lighter, freer, more in control? What version of myself am I building every time I honor my limits? Because saying no is not the end of connection. It's the beginning of self-respect. And that is always worth celebrating. So, saying no without guilt isn't about being unkind. It's about being true. True to your time. True to your peace. True to your purpose. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to honor your values and create a life that feels right for you. And sometimes, that means disappointing others to stay loyal to yourself. So ask yourself once more, where do I need to reclaim my no? What's one boundary I can reinforce this week? Your life is too precious to be spent on things that drain your spirit. Protect it. Prioritize it. And remember, every no you say for the right reasons is a yes to the life you deserve.